While waiting for the Creator to fight on your behalf, you sometimes make the mistake of staying in the battlefield and taking the assault. Let me explain. Now, we all know that there's spiritual warfare going on out here. For those of you who are tuned into my channel, you pretty much get that. You understand where I'm coming from. For those of you who don't know, I strongly suggest you go ahead and establish a spiritual connection so you'll be able to see what's really going on around you. But there's spiritual warfare going on, and it's raging. And a lot of believers, whether you choose for it to be Christian or otherwise, you have decided that you are going to let some things that you know that you cannot handle in the physical form be turned over to your Creator to handle for you. We all have to do that from time to time. We have accepted the fact that we are in a physical, presence, but being in a physical body has its limitations. And there are some things spiritually that we cannot handle, and that we have to yield that to our higher power. Okay, you've done that. Great. Wonderful. But this is where the mistake comes in for, I would say, half of us. And I'm speaking on, based on experience, because I still struggle with this as well. We'll turn around and say, well, I'm going to give it to God, Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever, because this is beyond my capabilities. You consciously say that, but then your actions will dictate otherwise. You find yourselves trying to go in and micromanage a situation you claim you've given to your Creator. There are a couple of ways that people do this. Let me give you a couple examples to give you an idea, because this is where you can derail the whole situation. First of all, when you say that you give something to your Creator and that is out of your control, you have to believe it wholeheartedly, 100%, not 99.5. And some of you, when you say you're going to give it up to Him, you're not doing it because you really believe that you're giving it up to your Creator. You're just doing that because you're tired of dealing with the situation and you're worn down. You're doing it out of exhaustion, but you haven't consciously thought about totally yielding the situation. So for those of you who are doing it out of exhaustion, you're really not surrendering the whole situation to your Creator. What you're doing is you're basically saying, or not saying, that I'm just tired of it. And you need to be honest with yourself and say, you know what, I'm tired of it and I'm trying to deal with it, but I'm tired of dealing with it, so I need help trying to yield it totally over to you. Be totally honest with your Creator as to what's in your heart. They already know what the outcome is going to be based on your decision, on your free will. There's two outcomes to every situation in the spirit realm. Because you were given free will, you are the one that makes a decision as to whether or not to take the left road or the right road. So there are choices. So for those of you who are just simply tired of the situation, say so. Say, look, I know this is out of my realm, and I understand that in my mind. But the thing is in my heart and in my spirit and in my ego, yes, I said ego, because I'm conditioned to think and believe a certain way. I was taught to think and believe a certain way. I can't physically let this go, even though I know in my mind I'm supposed to give it to you, and I'm struggling with this. That's what you need to say to your Creator. You need to be totally honest about the fact that, yes, I know I'm supposed to give this to you because I've done everything that I can. But there's a part of me that still feels that I could do a little bit more, and I'm not ready to totally surrender this to you. Be honest, verbalize it. And see, that's the problem with a lot of you. You're feigning the fact that you need to yield it over. And for some people, it's harder than others, especially if people have been alone all their lives and they have done nothing but struggle and struggle and struggle, and they depended on nothing but themselves. Now that they've established a spiritual connection, they think that, somebody waved a magic wand and all the struggles were over. And then when it's time for a battle, they go back into that old mode of handling things their way. And you can't. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of this, and then I'm going to let you guys go for the day. Let's say that there's a situation where You have a relationship with someone. It could be anybody. You have a close relationship. And this particular person, they don't have a spiritual connection, or they're pretending to have one. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you don't have a spiritual connection and pretending to have a spiritual connection, it's the same thing. Pretending to have a spiritual connection and actually not having one, it's the same thing in the spirit realm, because they're both equal to you not having one. So let's say that you're trying to move into another direction. You're trying to progress in the relationship for whatever reason, and this person doesn't, because they have these habits that just hold everything up. Let's say it could be a situation where you want to do things better financially. Okay, you finally woke up, the blinders are off. You've worked dead-end jobs for years, and you're tired of doing dead-end jobs. You're tired of seeing that same paycheck. You're tired of dealing with those knucklehead people at your job. You're tired of the long 10 and 12-hour work days. You're tired. It's not that you're not grateful for what you have. You're just tired, and you know deep down in your mind, now that you have a spiritual connection and you tapped into your spiritual gifts, you're starting to feel like, okay, you know what, this is not getting me anywhere. Here I am 10, 15 years older doing the same thing that I was doing 10, 15 years ago, and I'm still struggling. But you have a partner who is not a progressive thinker, who is not spiritually aware, and all they do and have been doing for the 10, 15 years is spending every single dime that comes in the house. And you want to get a bigger house. You might want to get a bigger car. Or even if it's not things, you're getting older and you might want to set aside some money for retirement in case you need assisted living, in case you need nursing, or you want to make investments. You want to do something different with the money in the household, and you're living with this person who you are in love with, who does not have that mentality. They're not progressive thinking. They don't have a spiritual relationship, and they're just spending. And they have every reason in the world to do it. And now that you're going to say something 10, 15 years later, all of a sudden you're the bad guy, because that person is making you feel guilty as to why you didn't say anything before. Okay? So let's say you've done everything in the world. Let's say you've tried maybe putting them on a budget, or tried maybe trying to scale back things in the household, or you've tried going to financial coaches and counselors. And it always goes back to the same thing, that this person is nothing but a consumer. They're not a producer. They're a consumer. They were that way when you married them, and they're just stuck in their ways. You can't get ahead with a person like this. You can't get ahead with them. They're going to have to change their ways of thinking on their own. You've tried everything in the world. So you're tired. You're exhausted. But you love this person. They're great in all other areas. It's just that y'all can't keep a dime in the household. And you're tired and you're exhausted. So then you go to your creator, whether it's prayer or meditation or whatever, and you say, oh, you know what? I don't know what to do. I'm just going to give it all to you. And at that time, you might have been thinking, I'll give it all to you, but that's because you're exhausted. Have you ever been so super tired that you'll go to sleep anywhere? Have you ever worked long days, like 12, 14-hour days, and you just have the mindset that you just want to get home and just go to sleep? And when you do, you go home and you take off your shoes and you take off your socks and you sit on the sofa, and right before you know it, you fell asleep in your work clothes, slept all night in your work clothes on the sofa, when you intended to go in the bedroom and get into your night clothes, take a shower, prepare for bed, and go to sleep properly in the bed. But you are so exhausted you don't make it to the bedroom to go to sleep. It's the same analogy. This person, when they yielded up this situation to their higher power, they were exhausted at that point where they didn't think about the fact that they have to give it all up. When you're at the point where you have to give it all up, you don't worry about it anymore. You don't think about it anymore. You don't talk about it anymore. You don't keep running to the altar whining about it every single time. And see, I know this is stepping on some toes right now because I know some people are doing it. There are some people right now that are going to the altar, going to the pulpit, doing the prayer call every single week for the past 10, 15 years, asking for the exact same thing. And then will turn around and say after the fact, I've given it to my creator. If you gave it to your creator is not going to allow you to sit there and suffer for the next 10 or 15 years asking for the same thing that you gave to him. Because you're still worrying about it. You're still anxious about it. You're probably still living in it. And some of y'all are living in that situation constantly and asking to be delivered when the answer is very simple. The creator's just sitting there with his or her arms folded saying, okay, you're asking me for something that you've already got. You are literally asking me to fight a battle for you. You tell me to jump in and fight this battle for you, but you still on the field. When you tell me to step in for you, that means you got to get off the field. It's just like in football. You're injured, but you want to try to play. You can't play when you just snapped your ankle on the field. When you watch a football game and you see somebody fall, snap an ankle, hurt the arm, hurt the head, you don't see them jumping up trying to run and grab the ball and keep playing. You see the coach comes out and the medics come out and they help them off the field, and then they send somebody else in to keep the game going. It's the same thing with battle. If you're in the military or have been in the military, kudos to you. You're in my prayers. Thank you for your service. But if you turn around and you get injured where you can't fight properly, you're not going to sit there and just keep fighting, and your commanding officer is going to pull you to the side and have you taken care of with the medics or whatever, and they're going to send somebody else in to keep the battle going. You have to keep that same mindset when you give things to your creator that you can't handle. Understand that this is spiritual warfare. You are competing against principalities and things in the spirit realm that are against you 24/7. And you're going to get tired. So if you get into a situation where you're facing a brick wall and you've done everything in the world and you decide to give something to your higher power, understand that once you give it, you got to give the whole thing up. You got to go to the sidelines so you can sit down and let the higher power go in and fight your battle for you. They're replacing your position in the situation. You got to let them replace your situation. It ain't no partnership once you give it up to them. Once you've completely given up that situation to your higher power, it ain't the two of y'all going back out on the field. It's not like that anymore. You've given everything. You are using your higher power is stepping in for you. And see, that's the problem that a lot of y'all have. Now, there are some situations, yes, where you and the higher power are walking alone. I'm talking about if you're at your wit's end, you've done everything, and there ain't no more fighting the dog. The dog is whipped, the dog is hungry, the dog is tired, can't fight no more. The dog needs to go back to the porch and sit down and let the master go out and continue the battle. And that's the problem that a lot of y'all are having. And then you wonder why a lot of these situations aren't resolved, because you turned around and you claimed you've given something to your creator and you have not wholeheartedly done it. You cannot micromanage in the spirit realm. Okay? Let me say that again, because some of y'all, that's all you do is micromanage everything. And that's part of the reason why you're so damn tired all the time. But I'll talk about that in another audio. Some of y'all are trying to micromanage in the spiritual realm. Excuse me, I'm tongue-tied today. Thoughts are coming too fast. You're trying to micromanage something that you gave to your creator. And your creator is like, wait a minute, now don't try to confuse me, because didn't you just say you wanted me to handle it? Well, get out the way and let me handle it. Go sit down. But then when you turn around and say, oh, well, I'm just going to sit down for a few minutes and then I'm just going to dip right on in and I'm going to go back out on the field. And what happens when you try to go back into a situation that you claimed you gave to your creator to handle and that you claimed that you yielded to? 9 times out of 10, that situation gets worse. Why? Because you didn't give the whole thing to your creator. You messing up the game. You making the team lose because you're an injured player in the game. So some of y'all, please be careful. If you're exhausted and don't know what to do, be honest and say, I'm exhausted and I don't know what to do, but I'm not ready to give it up. Admit it. But don't turn around and say, well, I'm just going to give it to God because you're tired, and don't give everything to God. If you give everything to God, Jehovah, Yahweh, whoever you want to call your spirit creator, then give it to them completely and move on. And have faith that it will be taken care of. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Have a great day.